What's up, guys? Jeff from Texas Moto Works. What do we got here? Well, I bought this bike because it was very interesting to me. It's a 2000 Hayabusa Suzuki. But what was really striking to me is somebody had the brilliant idea, I've got to hand it to them, to put the 86 GSXR 1100 paint job in it. You can't really tell now, but when all the panels and everything's on it, it looks like an 86 GSXR 1100 in terms of its scheme. But when I got it, typical stuff, I thought I'd just have to do minor things to it and ride it for a little while and get rid of it. But I've just had to go through and really unscrew a lot of goofy stuff and just stuff that was wrong and just components that were worn. And I can just really see that when this thing is done right, it's going to be a very neat, very striking machine. So what have I done so far? Well, a lot of work on the tail back here. So the frame was polished, or the swing arm was polished, but kind of like here you can see, they only polished it where you can see it. So that's behind the body panel. They didn't polish that. I would have polished the whole thing, but whatever, that's their deal. But on the swing arm, how they had it is the sides were polished, but then the flat part wasn't. So you had to go through and easy off that. Basically take the whole rear end apart, easy off that, get the anodizing off it, and then go through and repolish it. And then the next step was getting what they had for the rear fender. They had hacked this off, and then they had put some goofy signals. They drilled holes in the side of it, because here's the fender here, and then they had holes drilled in it. So I scored this for 35 bucks, an original one, uncut, and it came with the signals, which was great. It came with the OEM signals. So I cleaned those up, repainted them, put that in there, and then it had one of those goofy smoked tail lights on it. I got an OEM tail light for it that I did in red. I just thought if they're trying to emulate the 86 1100 paint job, it should have a red rear tail light, because that's how those bikes were. So anyway, and it just looks so much better. Cleaned up the brake disc back here, and then this was a lot of work too. The hub carrier was thrashed. The bearing would not come out of it. It had the one that came with the bike. So I got this one, another $35 score, and I bought a new chain and new sprockets for it, and then I just refinished the hub carrier in just kind of a silver. Just making sure that that's seated correctly. Yeah, it is. And then did that. Found it didn't have a chain guard. You know, when I first started doing bikes, I used to ditch the chain guards. I just thought they looked better without them. But then I kind of realized they look really unfinished. So I got a chain guard for it. I think that was 35 bucks too. I don't know, but not expensive. Went through and flushed the cooling system. Cleaned out the coolant reservoir. That was really bad. And then repainted the sprocket cover right there, and repainted the clutch cover on the other side. And then what's next? Oh, it had a black ostrich skin seat, which was hideous. And if you know the bike that this is trying to look like, the 86 1100s had a blue seat. I happen to have some blue vinyl, so I recovered that. It has the factory cowl or solo cover painted to match, so it's got that. So what's next? Well, you notice it doesn't have a front wheel on it. For whatever reason, it came with a chromed rear wheel but a polished front wheel, and it just didn't look right. And I had two choices: either polish it, and the way these bikes are with the big front fender, it would be a nightmare to get in there and repolish it if you ever needed to, if it started fading. So I really wanted it chrome. It's at my chromers right now, getting chromed, and I'm just hoping that he's able to pull that off, because, you know, I don't think he's done a lot of them, and of course you can't get chrome in the holes for the brake discs or the bearings, obviously. So waiting on that. I got some brand new right there discs for it, floating discs, because the ones on these were trashed. The ones on here were trashed. Repainted the exhaust mids, those are right there. And the cans, it has a nice D&D system on it, so the cans are getting repolished along with the chrome. But I think what's next is I'm going to start working on this. It had some gauges, and for whatever reason, they did red, which just doesn't look right. So I've got white ones coming. I have never swapped the faces out before. I don't know how to get the needles off, so I'm either going to be able to pull it off or I'm going to break them. It's going to be one of those two things, but I'm going to clean that up, clean up the mount up here, and then I'm going to change these out because these are hideously ridiculous. I've got some just plain flat ones coming for that. I put new levers on it, but that's really about it. I gotta put some better bulbs in the headlight, and it also had some smoke turn signal bulbs that I ditched, or turn signal lenses, I should say. I think those look closer to what this bike is trying to be. I've never been a fan of the smoke stuff, but anyway, so that's that, guys. Stay tuned. I'm thinking probably have this thing back together and on the road in a couple of weeks, and I think I'll keep this one a while. This is really kind of a neat machine. I do like it. So, all right. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Take care.